Yo, what is going on, guys? It is Jay here, aka Mojoautographs, coming at you guys on this Wednesday, December 18th of 2019. Merry Christmas, everybody. We're almost there. Hope you guys are all doing well wherever you're at, from coast to coast, or if you're outside of the United States. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to everybody. So today's podcast, episode 5. I cannot believe I was able to make it to episode 5, but this is awesome. The content is starting to roll again. And today's topic is going to be about my favorite autographing stories. And that kind of comes into play a lot because I think for everyone, the chase is obviously something we crave. If you're an autograph collector, you know about the chase, that rush feeling you get when you go for an autograph, or if you get someone that you've never gotten before. It's truly an unbelievable experience. The adrenaline rush, all that stuff, that's kind of what people crave rather than just the autograph. And I feel that for sure. But my favorite autograph stories, it transitions a lot. I mean, when I first started as a kid, like, I would get so starstruck. You could have put Elton Brand in front of me and I would have been freaking out thinking it was like meeting Kobe or LeBron. And I think that's just how it went in the beginning. I was just so excited to meet anybody I can meet. The transition kind of happened as I started to get more comfortable talking to players. And like, it's crazy because like as I started to watch these guys, like when I watched John Wall in college and I got to meet him, it was so amazing. Or when you meet that player that hit that huge game winner or a clutch shot and then you finally get to meet them. Or like when I met Luka Doncic or something like that, it's like, dang, this guy is going to be rookie of the year. He might be something crazy. And I met him his rookie year. The starstruck thing kind of went away. As I started to grasp celebrities more and take these autograph trips, the memories started to pile up. And I mean, you can't go wrong. Like, every autograph truly does have a story. Looking back, those memories as a kid when I met Steph Curry his rookie season, it actually is crazy to think about how he became such a great player. And at the time, I didn't even think anything of it when I met Steph Curry. Now it's like kids are meeting Steph Curry like in the last couple 3-4 years here, and it's like you think they were meeting Michael Jordan or Kobe or LeBron with how excited they get, when it's like, man, when I met Steph Curry when he first entered the league, I thought I was just meeting a rookie, just an NBA rookie that, we'll see what happens. And then his second year, Steph Curry, he had like, some ankle problems, and I was thinking like, oh man. And there was like 3 people graphing this guy at the hotel versus like the last 5 years, there's been like over 50 people at the hotel, which is kind of crazy. Obviously the Warriors are amazing, but who would have thought, right? Who would have thought, looking back, like me meeting Steph Curry and having him do like 2 or 3 per on 2 cards in an 8x10 to like what he is now. It's like unbelievable. What a legacy. He's obviously maintained in the NBA, and that just shows you the transition. I noticed that like most of my favorite autograph stories have come on in the sense of like one-on-one experiences or a late night experience, or usually with a celebrity, to be honest with you. Some of my favorite stories can come in the last couple years here. Well, if you go on my YouTube channel, there's like a Harrison Ford signing autographs video. That was one of the craziest, probably one of my favorite chases in a long time. So for Harrison Ford, we're going for Harrison Ford at this California Hall of Fame museum thing. Pretty prominent event to graph. Nothing crazy. In the last 2 years, they brought some terrible people in the sense of like A-list, B-list, C-list celebrities. They haven't really brought very many good people, but they brought Harrison Ford a couple years ago. And like, dude, if you guys know Harrison Ford, he's like not the chillest guy to be around. Like, he'll sign, but he's definitely not thrilled to sign. So he signs, at the red carpet. I'm able to acquire, him on the red carpet, which is cool. Got a nice little quick graph in blue on my 11. Was pretty happy. But, autographers, we want more. Definitely was craving a nicer graph, maybe a photo op. You know how we are, dude. One is never enough anymore. Like, I'm always wanting something else. There's always some new item I want signed, or I want the photo op, or I want a selfie and a photo op and on my Snapchat and Instagram story. I'm always wondering why people would take multiple photo ops, and I realize now it's like, well, you always want more, So Harrison Ford, after the event, we obviously are waiting around for him and follow him, and he leaves, goes to some like restaurant. We ask him there. He says, nope, I'm not signing. Then he goes in this place. We're like, all right, well, maybe if he's hammered drunk, he'll sign. We followed him to another location. He ended up at this hotel he was staying at in our city, and like basically what happened was there was like maybe 20 autograph seekers, and I knew it. I had a bad feeling that if we were as rowdy as we are at the red carpet, dude, there's no way this guy's gonna sign. He's gonna be fucking pissed. And we all lined up. One of the main autograph seekers that was there told us to all line up, and I was kind of like for it. I was down for it. I was like 5th in line, so I'm like, all right, you know what? At least I'll get mine. Right? If he starts at this end, we'll be good. So I lined up, and then everyone lined up, which is kind kind of rare. If you've ever graphed in a mosh pit, let me tell you something. To get autograph people to line up is a rare scene, and it actually happened. We lined up. We told Harrison Ford comes out, and he's kind of mouths off something, but then he comes over, and we're like, Harrison, we're all lined up. We just want one each. That's it. And literally, I shit you not, Harrison Ford went down the line for 20 people. No BS. Nobody was screwing around. We actually all behaved, and everyone got one. Obviously, some people try to get more at the end, but I was happy with my one because the one he did sign for me was beautiful. He was giving out some nice graph. It was cool, man, to see the teamwork actually work that night. That was one of those times where it was like, oh my gosh, I don't need to control anything here. I just need to listen to somebody that's been doing this longer than me. And it all worked out. Everybody got one. Some people got photo ops. And like I said, I could talk about autograph stories my whole life, the whole time we could talk about autograph stories. That's just like one of those stories where it's like, dang, everyone followed directions. The next type of story I'm going to tell you is a chase. And when you know what chase means, I'll explain it here. But this story involves John Travolta. And if you don't know anything about John Travolta, he's one of the nicest guys to like meet. He always takes care of his fans. Like, he'll sign autographs and he'll sign like a bunch, and he will not stop. Like, he's one of the best signers. A couple of us from my area, a couple OGs go up to Napa. They have a film festival. We went up there hoping to get John Travolta, obviously, and that was the main goal. So I heard he was a good signer. So yeah, like, I packed 10 or 15 items because I was like, you know what, like, we're going up to Napa. Like, we're gonna make the most of this. And it's funny is because the three of us that did go up from our city, we did not drive up together. We did not carpool, which is kind of funny looking back at it. We totally could have carpooled, but we didn't. We all went separate and met up there, which is kind of funny. But anyway, so John Travolta, he signs at this event. The security's kind of okay with us. I heard now this event sucks, but anyway, the security was a little uptight. It was kind of rough. We had to basically, it was a lot of anxiety. You know that waiting anxiety when you're waiting for the graph and you're kind of wondering okay, once they get out of the car, are they going to come to our side or the other side? Are we in the right place or not? You got that constant thinking going on in your head. You're second guessing yourself, but you want to be in the right place. But then it's like, man, what if you're in the wrong place and they sign on the other side and you're you second guess yourself? Well, at this thing, I think I got about 2 or 3 done, and that didn't sit well with me because I had 11 unsigned items with me. So what happened next was we decided to follow Travolta. I just decided, man, that wasn't enough. So obviously in my head, I'm thinking I want more. We talked about wanting more, right? Well, we all took separate cars. And anyway, so we decided to follow Travolta, a couple of us, and we're all from the same area. And we decided, well, if we follow, I don't know how we made this decision, but we basically said we're not going to get into the same car. Drive your own car. So there's 3 of us, and I don't know where everyone else was that night, but it was 3 of us following Travolta. And he enters in a wine vineyard, and I'm tripping, obviously. I park my car. All 3 of us, we see this car go down this long aisle, and I'm looking, and I'm asking one of the guys there, I'm like, well, dude, what do we do? And he's like, just do your thing. Let's go. So everyone gets in. I grab all my stuff, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, we can't drive through on the vineyard. This is like this long road, and there's somebody waiting to check and see if you have an invite to this private party, and there's SUVs and a bunch of TCPs going in. So I'm thinking to myself, oh man, I don't know what to do. So I'm panicking. I'm freaking out, and I see the 2 guys I'm with. They start running, so I start running, and we're running through a vineyard. I'm talking like a winery, like grapes and everything, running through this vineyard. And we pop up, and one of the guys looks at me. He's like, hey, that's Travolta. And then I was like, what do we do? And he's like, just do your thing. Go right up to him. So we show up, and we're tripping because there's a bunch of nice cars. Everyone's in suits, and Travolta pops out, and he's kind of spooked at us, and I'm freaking out. 5 items on each side of this board, and Travolta comes over. I'm like, hey, John, we were just a couple of us here. Do you mind signing? And he looks around, and he looks to the right, looks to the left, looks at all of us. He's like, oh, good. Now I can take care of you guys. And he signed, no problem. John Travolta racked. He gave full sigs. He respected everything. He didn't think anything weird of it. He was really cool. He looked around to see if there was anybody else. And then when he popped that line, now I can take care of you guys, it was kind of like it was like a settling thing. And he signed every single item we had. I almost wish I had more that night, but he signed everything. It was one of the most, it was such a rush, man. The way that story goes is from getting only a couple to making this random decision to follow him, obviously, and then to end up in a winery, and then to end up face to face with him, to have him tell us, oh, now I can take care of you, to having him rack with full autograph signatures. You can't get better than that. That to me was one of my favorites. I've had plenty of memorable experiences with NBA players. The one thing you guys do know about me is I'm a huge basketball fan, so I've had my fair share of amazing NBA experiences with getting game use stuff and having players leave me tickets. I'll give you this quick story. Goran Dragic and I were super tight. I know it's the most random thing you've ever seen, besides the fact that I'm cool with DeMarcus Cousins, which a lot of people are like, dude, no way. And I'm like, yeah, dude, it's crazy how that happened, huh? So Goran Dragic is on the Phoenix Suns at the time, and I had asked him him for his game used shoes like when I was in high school. And what happened was the day I asked him, he said, no, I can't do it. Then I asked him like probably the thing about the Suns is they came in preseason and then they came during the season. So I asked him the second time and he said yes. So I'm waiting for Goran Dragic at the end of this game to have him give me his shoes. And he was hella cool about it. And he was like, yeah, I'll be there, just be by I was like, I'll be by the tunnel. And he's like, okay, just be right there. And after the game, the Suns get absolutely bamboozled by the Kings, and he walks by and like gives me a thumbs up, and I'm waiting there, and then I get kicked out of the arena. So I'm thinking to myself, well, the guy lied to me. And that, I'm gonna be honest with you, game used shoes is like a notorious, like I've been promised shoes 1,000 times and I've probably only gotten them. It's like a 10% to 15% chance I actually have gotten them. It's pretty crazy for me, unless it's like the home team. But anyway, last time they come, I'm putting Dragic on blast, basically. Not literally, but like when I see Dragic, it's the last time they're coming here, and I'm telling him, he comes up, he signs all my stuff, and I look at him and I'm like, hey Goran, I was that guy that asked you for shoes the last couple times, and this is the last time you guys come here. The Kings might leave. And he's listening to me this whole time. I'm like, do you think I can get those shoes? And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. He's like, I'll take care of you this time, I promise. Basically what happened was he asked for my name. He's like, what's your name? It was crazy. So I give him my name on this note card. I show up to the arena, I give the arena my name, and Goran Dragic freaking gives me family passes, tickets, and like all this like free luxury seating and all this stuff. And I'd never experienced something like that. This is like kind of before I became cool with DeMarcus, knowing about family tickets and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my God, I'm a guest of the Phoenix Suns. This is unreal. I'm like 16 or 17 years old in high school. I never thought something like this would happen, right? I have all these family passes, family connections, and then there's like a family area at halftime. I'm like, what the hell is this? So I wait till the end. I still go to the tunnel at the end of the game, and Goran Dragic had been player of the game, literally. He gets interviewed, and I'm looking at him like, Goran, you got me? And he looks up and gives me a thumbs up, and I'm thinking, oh man, PTSD. Hopefully he remembers. This dude comes over the tunnel. He acts like I felt like family to him. He comes over, gives me like a tap on the shoulder. He's like, hey, he's like, Jay, wait right here, and I'll be right back. And I'm thinking, no fucking way, this guy's serious. And the arena, I'm thinking, but they're gonna kick me out. He's like, I will be right back. This dude goes to the freaking locker room, and maybe 5 minutes later comes out with a pair of shoes, and he's like, here you go, brother. And he gives me these shoes, and I'm freaking on cloud 9. Well, I have the family pass to go into the locker after, so I'm like, I'm gonna use this. So I get the pass, I meet Michael Beasley, I chop it up with Dragic, and I'm just like talking to him, and like it's like I'm a huge fan. I couldn't believe it. I was like talking to him, and I just like I basically thanked him, and I was like, if I ever get to see you again, I'll always remember this. Thank you, Goran. And he ended up having a good tenure with the Houston Rockets, and he's on the Heat now. But I mean, dude, what a guy. Goran Dragic was probably one of the coolest away team players that I had ever gotten to meet. So that's like a very underrated story that I don't think a lot of you guys know, but Goran Dragic was probably the most random cool experience I've had. And what that shows you, honestly, guys, in autographs is persistence pays off. Obviously, like Goran Dragic, I was just like a huge fan watching him. I actually had him on fantasy basketball, and I was like wanting to get his shoes, and that was when he developed the nickname the Dragon. So anyway, all right, guys, and we will do this last story. This is what I call the Clint Eastwood story. I call him Uncle Clint. I'll give you a general idea of this story. This was probably one of my favorite nights in my autographing probably ever, because Clint Eastwood's a legend, one of my favorites. Just tell you this. So one night I'm going for Clint Eastwood. This is back in like the LA traveling days. I'm going for Clint Eastwood one night. I know where he's having dinner. And I'm kind of like thinking to myself, I had gone for Clint before in the past couple years, and I had never been able to get Clint. He'd always like not signed, or it'd be bad luck in the past. Anyway, so we're going for Clint one night, and it's only a couple of us, and we show up there, and like I'm thinking, oh my God, like that's his car, like we're golden, we're gonna get Clint, hopefully, this is the chance. And my friend's like, hey, calm down, whatever. And we had been we had been throwing a couple back, whatever, so I was kind of a little tipsy, and like this was like the old days. So like anyway, so I definitely was feeling some liquid courage, and like everyone else I was with, like we were drinking and stuff. Obviously I didn't want to be drunk in front of Clint. So Clint Eastwood, we're waiting, and we're pushing the clock, and my buddy's like, go inside the thing, and then we find some other autograph people there, and it was like, oh shit, like dang, they're here too. Like there's some other people there, obviously, that knew he was there, so it was kind of worked out. Like I'm not gonna lie, like the more people, the less autographs, right? Obviously I can see why that was kind of a conflicting situation that night. Anyway, like so we're like waiting, and I look at my friend, I'm like, bro, just go in there, like let's see if he's in there. And my friend looks at me, he's like, dude, 100% that's his car, you need to just calm down. So I'm like, oh shoot, like obviously threw a couple back, I'm getting a little anxious, a little excited. Time clock hits, it's about almost midnight, maybe 11:50, it's like 11:30. I know the restaurant was was already like closed or something. Anyway, Clint comes out and my friend looks and he's like, just behave, let me do the talking. And I'm thinking to myself like, okay, whatever, this guy's gotten Clint before, let's see what happens. So Clint comes out, he puts his wife in the car and we are all surrounding him. So my friend does the talking. He's like, how you doing, Clint? Good to see you. And I'm kind of like, hey, Clint, like there's, we're just a couple of us and can you please sign? And so basically Clint puts his wife in the car and we're thinking to ourselves, oh man, he's going to do the usual. What Clint sometimes does is he'll put his wife in the car and say, hey guys, thank you, but it's getting late, I gotta go, basically is what he says, because that's the experience I had like almost a year and a half before. So we're like tripping and then Clint motions over and he just starts signing and then his wife kind of says something and Clint looks at all of us. And one of the craziest things that has ever happened was Clint Eastwood looked over at his wife and he looked at the autographers. There's maybe 6 of us and he's like, don't worry honey, I need to make them their quick buck, they're here working. And I couldn't believe it. And Clint Eastwood racked that night. And unfortunately for me, like talk about, I'm gonna be greedy here, but it only had 12 items with us, so we had to divide it up. So each of us got about 4 items each, which is pretty crazy to get 4 Clints. And I still have one of my favorite Clint Eastwoods. I have one of the best ones. But it was cool, man. Clint, I couldn't believe that experience that he actually had said that, and he literally signed everything that night for whoever was there. It just goes to show you, that was one of those things where we didn't know what was gonna happen. You had to just kind of experience it, be patient, and wait there. We talk about the autograph. Every autograph has a story. That's obviously the title of this podcast, and it's the truth. I remember these stories like it was yesterday. Some of these stories are 3-4 years old, and some of them are almost 10 years old. If you think about it, every autograph has a story, but obviously there's some factors that play a role, which includes autographer etiquette, being patient, persistence, and just kind of being cool. Obviously playing it cool. For me, all these autographs stories, these are just a handful. There's thousands of stories I have. Those are just the select few that I had written down and kind of shared with you guys. So as I've grown up, what I've learned is I've been less starstruck, and I'm learning more to just be cool. Play it cool and not be too anxious or crazy about it. The calmer I am, the better the situation is, what I've noticed. So I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. I hope you guys all have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and thank you guys so much for listening. I will talk to you guys on the next one. If you guys are racking this week, good luck, and I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.